This health science presentation is age-appropriate for preschool, kindergarten, and elementary school students. The following depictions of the human embryo and early fetus are actual video of the living conceptus in the uterus. They contain no animation and have not been altered in any way. The approximate age of each conceptus depicted in this presentation has been estimated to within plus or minus 5 days of the time elapsed since fertilization, using contact embryoscopy with sonographic verification.
Hello, my name is Dr. Camilla Hirsch. I'm an obstetrician, which means I take care of pregnant mothers and their unborn babies. I'm also a gynecologist, which is a doctor who takes care of women who are not pregnant. In addition to being a doctor, I teach medicine at Georgetown University, a school that trains students to become doctors. We are about to show you some very exciting baby videos, which are different from any pictures of babies you've ever seen before. These pictures were made of babies before they were born, in the first few weeks after their mothers became pregnant. Some were videotaped just 4 weeks after they began to form inside their mothers' bodies. This video was made with a special instrument that only a doctor can use. It's called an endoscope. It is attached to a video camera with a small lens that can look inside a mother's body. The endoscope has a small light on the end, which can help us see the babies while they're developing inside their mothers. This new and unusual technique is called embryoscopy because it helps us see the embryo, or very young unborn baby. Embryo is what we call the baby. During the first 8 weeks, from the 9th week of pregnancy until birth, it is called a fetus. Fetus is a word from the Latin language, and it means little one, or offspring. Doctors sometimes call a baby a conceptus while it is still inside the mother. We're showing you this video to teach you more about the wonderful way a baby grows inside his mother's body. To help me share this amazing story, I would like you to meet some students who are going to tell you all about the babies you will see on this video.
Hi, my name is Madeline, and I am 9 years old.
Hi, my name is Oscar, and I am 9 years old.
Hi, my name is Eunice, and I am 12 years old.
Hi, my name is Marcus, and I am 12 years old.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am 7 years old.
Hi, I'm Stuart, and I'm 10 years old.
Hello, my name is Kelsey and I'm 8 years old.
Hi, my name is Kellen and I am 10 and a half years old.
Hi, my name is Chloe and I'm 11 years old. Babies live inside their mother's bodies in a special place called the uterus or womb. The uterus is a muscle which stretches to make room for the growing baby. Inside the uterus is a bag called the amniotic sac. This sac is filled with a kind of salt water in which the baby floats. This salt water cushions the baby from bumps, keeps his temperature comfortable, and helps him grow in all sorts of other important ways. Here is a drawing which will help you understand where the baby lives. With the endoscope and video camera, we are able to see the baby from outside the amniotic sac. This is possible because the sac is clear enough for us to see through. Watch carefully and you will learn and see all sorts of surprising things. Look at this embryo. He is only 4 weeks old and his heart has already been beating for about a week. Do you see the big red heart in the middle of his body? It is pumping blood to all the other parts of the growing baby. We can't tell by looking if these babies are boys or girls until they are about 12 weeks old, so sometimes we will call them she, and sometimes we will call them he.
You're probably wondering what this round balloon-like shape could be. It is called a yolk sac, and it grows in the first few weeks of the baby's life.
The yolk sac does many things to help the baby grow, but one of the most important is to make blood cells for the heart to pump throughout the baby's body.
As we learned earlier, the baby is called an embryo until it is 9 weeks old.
When the baby is 5 weeks old, she starts to form tiny grooves and ridges on her hands. This means she is beginning to grow fingers.
The nerves also start to grow into the hands and legs during this time. Nerves are what help us move and feel things.
During the 5th to 6th week of life, the baby is beginning to develop its face. This baby has a mouth and a tiny upper lip. Look at this baby's mouth. The arrow shows you where to look. This baby also has an early nose, eyes, and ears.
Six weeks is an exciting time because this is when the embryo begins to move. He first makes slow, gentle movements of his arms. Within just a few weeks, the baby can move his arms, legs, head, and trunk rapidly. His mother will not feel him move until he is about 4 months old, because he is so small. By then, he will be big enough to kick his leg or push his arm hard enough to be felt by the nerves, which are closer to his mother's skin. Another wonderful thing that happens at 6 weeks is the baby's brain becomes active. Doctors can measure the brain's electrical activity with a machine that prints out a tracing whose initials are EEG. The EEG is a drawing of the brain's electrical pattern that looks like a crooked line with sharp ups and downs. Everyone has their own special EEG pattern, and they begin to form while they're still just embryos inside their mother's wombs.
At 6 weeks, the baby also begins to form the joints which connect its bones. Our joints are the places where two bones meet, and special connective tissue at our joints allows our bodies to bend. Your knees and elbows are two examples of joints. The baby's joints develop so quickly that they look like adult joints by the end of the 8th week. It is very important that the baby move around inside his mother because exercise helps grow his bones and joints and even his muscles. The baby's face is continuing to develop during this time. His eyelids begin to form at 6 weeks. They will keep growing until the upper and lower lids touch and each eye closes at 9 weeks. The eyes will then stay shut until about 26 weeks.
At 7 weeks, the baby is moving more and more. She can turn her body and her head from side to side. Sometimes she even touches her face with her hand. This is also the time when the baby can first bend her head back, and sometimes she will open her mouth when she does this. She can bend her elbows too.
Believe it or not, some babies can even hiccup at 7 weeks. The muscle which will help the lungs breathe in and out is growing by this time, and it is called the diaphragm. When it makes a fast, jerky movement, the baby hiccups, just like you sometimes do. By 10 weeks, the diaphragm muscle is completely formed.
The 7-week-old baby has also grown bumps on her tongue called taste buds. These are important because they will later help her taste her favorite foods. You might be someone who used to suck your thumb as a baby. Did you know that babies first put their thumbs in their mouths when they are in their mother's wombs? Doctors have made pictures of babies with their thumbs in their mouths as early as 7 weeks after they begin to grow.
When the baby is 6 or 7 weeks old, she likes to lie on her back or stomach in the womb. Later, she may spend most of her time lying on her side or even sitting up. It is easier for her to move now than it will be after she leaves her mother's body at the time of birth. Because she is still very small now, she has lots of room to move around. As she grows larger, it will get more crowded in her mother's womb and she won't be able to move as much.
You may have noticed that his skin is almost as clear as the glass in a window. You can see through it because it is still growing.
At 4 weeks, he has only one of the 2 layers of skin cells that he will later develop.
This first layer will grow into the outer part of the skin, which we call the epidermis. The second part of the baby's skin will be the inner layer, which we call the dermis. By 11 weeks, this baby will have grown both of these skin layers, and we will no longer be able to see inside his body.
You might also be curious about the curly tube you see attached to the baby's tummy. It's called the umbilical cord. You had one of these until you were born. You can tell this because you have a belly button. That's all that is left of the umbilical cord now. But it was very important for the first 9 months of your life. This cord connected you to your mother's body through another organ called the placenta. An organ is a body part that has a special purpose. The placenta is the organ through which the mother puts food and oxygen into the baby and takes the baby's waste products away.
Waste products are things the baby no longer needs. The umbilical cord brings food from the placenta so the baby can grow, oxygen so it can breathe, and even antibodies to make it immune from some diseases. Immunity is the way the body protects itself from diseases.
If you look closely, you can see 3 blood vessels inside the cord. The cord grows so quickly that it can eventually measure 2 to 3 feet in length. Babies sometimes have a cord twisted around themselves or even hold it in their hands. Here's a baby who is 8 weeks old. By now his fingers and toes are easy to see, and he can begin to move them. Look at this baby's fingers and toes. There is always something important happening in the early weeks of a baby's growth.
The brain, spinal cord, and nerves have been quickly forming for several weeks now. No one can say for sure what a baby can feel inside his mother's womb, but we can watch the baby's growth and reactions. Parts of the brain and nerves, which are necessary to feel pain, develop between about the 8th and 13th weeks of the baby's growth. Pricking a 9 to 10 week fetus with a needle causes the baby's brain activity to change in ways similar to the changes which happen when an adult feels pain. Doctors have seen unborn babies as young as 9 or 10 weeks do some of the same things you and I do when we feel pain, like move away from what is causing us to hurt. As we also learned earlier, at 9 weeks, doctors call the baby a fetus instead of an embryo. The baby will be called a fetus until she is born. Then she will be called a newborn baby.
The baby in the womb also likes to stretch. Look at this 9-week baby. She was sleeping and just awakened. Watch her stretch. See her move her arms and fingers, arch her back, and tilt her head to the rear. The baby can first be seen stretching when she is 8 weeks old.
From about 8 or 9 weeks, the baby begins to make breathing movements. Even though the baby does not breathe like you do until she is born, by 11 or 12 weeks, she will breathe amniotic fluid in and out of her lungs. At 10 weeks of age, the baby is about 2.5 inches long, or 6 to 7 centimeters. He is growing very quickly.
This is also the time when the baby's bones begin to harden. They have been soft, kind of like your nose, but they need to get hard. Bones give the baby's body shape and support. After we are born, they help us stand, sit, and move about. They also store minerals and make blood cells.
The baby's hair begins growing at 10 weeks. Fingernails also start to grow at this time. Around 10 weeks of age, you can sometimes see the baby swallowing the amniotic fluid that surrounds it. The baby's jaw opens and the tongue moves. The baby can also move its eye downward, just like you would if you wanted to look down.
This is the point at which a doctor can first tell if the baby is a boy or girl. We told you earlier that the baby's face starts forming at 5 weeks. At 11 weeks, it is so well developed that she can make complex facial expressions.
At 11 weeks, she digests amniotic fluid and then moves urine through her kidneys and bladder and back into the amniotic fluid in which she is floating. This baby's face, arms, and legs are sensitive to touch. That means she can feel things that touch her, like her umbilical cord, even at this early point in life. This baby is 12 weeks old. Babies grow so fast at 12 weeks that they weigh almost twice as much as they did at 11 weeks. A 12-week baby weighs 1.5 ounces or 45 grams. He measures about 3.5 inches or 8.7 centimeters from the top of his head to his bottom.
might think that this baby looks kind of skinny, but he will not stay that way. At 12 weeks, he begins to grow some fat in certain parts of his body.
He first grows fat in his cheeks. You need some fat in your body to help keep you warm and give you energy.
I hope you can watch this exciting video again, and you will more easily remember the many facts you've now learned about the human embryo and fetus as it grows inside the mother's womb. Each stage of development is part of a flow which carries us through birth, infancy, adolescence, adulthood, and finally into old age. Each time is different in its own way, and each holds many interesting and important surprises. Perhaps this brief introduction to the science of growth in the womb will encourage you to learn more about the way we grow and develop through our lives. We've enjoyed showing you this video. You have now seen pictures which many adults have never seen. We hope you'll tell your family and your friends some of the wonderful things you've seen and heard. Thanks for watching.